you will see a theme that's happening here over the last several conversations with owners and CEOs. And that is they've spent some time within their industry before deciding or identifying an opportunity to jump out and do their own thing. Today's guest spent approximately 7 years in the energy industry, working for oil and gas companies, most recently before starting his own business with a prevalent midstream company within Western Canada. Central Western Canada, I guess, is the correct area geography. So without further ado, let's jump into things. Chris Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, John.
I'm looking forward to this. And I know we went back and forth a few times. You had some travel in, a bit of vacation, which is good. And I was competing for this hour and a half slot or hour and 15-minute slot with a pile of stuff on your desk, which actually used to be behind you with that picture, but has now moved over. But I won. So I'm extremely pumped today.
Yeah, and I was pumped that I got to go on vacation. It hasn't always been the case.
Right?
For many business owners.
And hey, have you, like, I know we'll get into this, but I guess 5 years of Broadbill, your company, Midstream business. Have you taken a vacation every year? I guess no. Was it just in the last couple, or?
Yeah, the last couple. Been trying to do a little bit of catch up, but now that we've had a chance to kind of build out the team, make my job more redundant.
Yeah, you've got all the smart people now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to do anything. I just got to do these lovely things that I'm terrified to do and talk to you for an hour and a half.
I love this because when I reached out to you, there was a handful of first, guinea pigs, as they say, that I reached out to saying, I really hope they say yes to jumping on this podcast. And it's been a great journey so far. And you said, yes, for sure. Let's do it. I think it took a few days to get back to me. I was on the edge of the seat. I was going to say yes or not. And when we jumped on, you said, the real reason, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you said the real reason I jumped at this opportunity was because you're always talking with your team, your people, and I think that'll come up a lot. It's all about the people in our conversation today. You're always challenging them to go do things that are beyond their comfort zone, something new, puts them on their edge of their seat. And you're like, and this is one for me. So I should probably do it to, not just tell, but show. That was part of it, right?
Yeah, I thought it would be pretty brutal of me not to challenge. In fact, it's quite funny. On my door to my office here, I wrote, do not disturb till 10:30, and underneath it, have you challenged yourself lately?
Love it.
Right. Yeah. And so it's something that we try to do and get ourselves out of the comfort zone and just try to continue to improve ourselves professionally, personally, and in business.
Yeah, such a great philosophy. I enjoy it.
Doesn't always feel good though, John.
It doesn't, man. I do it every day. Every day I'm out of the comfort zone. I was just weird before we push record on this. I said, you know what? I still get butterflies when I do these things. And when I've met guests before, like yourself, it's almost even more intense. So if I get a jittery voice in about 5 minutes, it'll be gone away. So we'll be rocking and rolling. And I guess one other potential outcome is there's no way to lose today, because if today goes sideways because I don't host this properly or do a good job, now you can use it and say, when you're chatting with your people, it's like, hey, sometimes you do these challenges and they work out really, really shitty. And here's an example. Go watch that podcast and what John did. So
yeah, I think the likelihood of me screwing this up is far greater than you. So I'll try my best not to.
All right. We're rowing in the boat together.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So we will start things off where you decided to make that jump and start your own business after being in the industry for a while. And that's where we originally connected many years ago. But before we do so, can you give listeners, viewers, a bit of a intro to who Chris is, who you are?
Pretty simple upbringing, actually, from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I'm the youngest of 4 kids, 2 older sisters and an older brother. So it was a good upbringing. They took care of me, and they're kind of my best friends throughout my childhood. Never at the same time.
Right.
So it'd be 1 year my oldest sister was, and we'd go and travel through Egypt, and next kind of through university days, my second oldest sister, she kind of took care of me, paid for my cell phone bills because I was a poor student.
Ooh, nice.
And then my brother was kind of there all along. So we're super tight siblings, and just they're all wickedly successful, and very proud of them and what they've done. My dad always says I'm the least successful of the 4.
Okay. So now I got to get the list of all your siblings. They got to come on the show too.
pretty classic upbringing in Saskatoon. Mom and dad both worked sports. They worked hard to get us into every sport that we possibly can. Hockey, ball, for golf,
Balls,
all
baseball,
the fastball
fastball. Okay,
for my sisters. And yeah, it's just like, hockey was just really important. I mean, sports were just a really important part of, I guess, our upbringing. And it is today too. I got 3 kids and that's all I do now is sports, right?
Yeah, I can relate.
My mom, I guess my family is probably the most important thing kind of to get me where I am. My mom is just an awesome human being. She has this, she's bright. She started as a nurse, put that on hold to have 4 kids, and then went back and worked at the university.
Right on.
She always has this saying that kind of stuck with us kids, and now it's kind of gone to her grandkids. And it's like, never let it beat you. And it was just like, okay, well, you come home and you get your butt kicked on the hockey rink. Well, don't let it beat you. It's like, not really what you want to hear, but then you think about it, like, you're right. Things I can improve on.
Yeah.
In business, even like, I'll lose a big deal and I'll just be, don't let it beat you. And it's like, sometimes you just need a hug, but other times then you just snap out of you like, you're right. And so that's something that's been kind of cool. My dad,
that's good.
Is the hardest worker I've ever seen in my entire life. So that's certainly something that I've carried forward.
What did he do for a career?
He started when he was 18 out of high school. He worked as a lineman for SaskTel. The telephone crown corp in Saskatchewan. And he, through hard work, worked his way up over 30 years to be executive vice president of SaskTel. So
awesome.
Probably, by credentials, had no business being there, but he just worked his butt off and got there. It's funny because he retired after 30 years. He got a package there, an opportunity to take a package, and he took it. So he's retired when he's 49. Everyone's like, you retired way too young. Like, what are you doing? And it was just, we were just shooting the shit last summer. And I'm like, you know what, Dad? Everyone says you retired too young at 49. The way that you ran and the way that I run and my siblings run, it's like, I think 49 was too late. You should have retired at 45.
Yeah, once you average everything out, it's like you retired at 85, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, some people, you know what, you get it finally, Chris. Some people don't, but
yeah. And I guess it's one of those, what do they say, the catch-22? I'll have to go look that saying up, make sure it's appropriate to say. But it's if you didn't have, that we'll call it drive ambition, then would you have been able to retire at that 40? Late 40s in that scenario. But yeah. And maybe the title of the show might go in the header. Don't let it beat you.
Don't let it beat you.
I like that. Yeah. Don't let it beat you. Don't let Chris beat you.
And then, fast forward to now. And it's just kind of what I alluded to already, 3 kids, 3 girls, all in sports. So it's, office, wake up early, gym, office, home, pick up a kid, 2 kids, run them to wherever the hell I'm supposed to go that day, and then get home, breathe, and do it again. So it's pretty awesome, actually. It's pretty fun stuff.
Yeah, I can write. I've got 3 as well. Girl, boy, girl, same thing. Obviously, my wife is Kelly is helping out with a lot of that stuff too, run around, and we're lucky to have a nanny as well, just helping with some of the timing of logistics. But I do know, like, for sure, every so many weeks, you're going, oh my goodness, like things are just way too fast. And then I'll talk with my parents on a Zoom call on the weekend, and all they always say, if I bring it up, it's just enjoy it, even if it's painful. Enjoy it, because it's only like depending on your kid's age, or if you have 2 sets of kids through different marriages and stuff. Like usually it's 10 years maybe of really craziness, but enjoy it.
But I
don't let it beat you.
Yeah, I don't enjoy it. I actually love it.
Awesome.
I love it. And it's like, it doesn't matter what kind of day I've had at the office, because I usually try to coach 2 of the girls in hockey.
Okay.
In some capacity on the bench or whatever it is that year, whatever the team needs. And, crazy day at work, things blew up, fire. You step on the rink with those 15 girls, and they're just smiling and loving life and want to learn and win together. And it's just like, it helped me out. I think year 2 of Broadbill, I didn't do any of that because we were so busy.
Right.
And it just I worked till 8 o'clock at night instead.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you can do those. Everyone has different lengths of time they can do this, but you do sprints during the career, right? And then
You do.
you have to keep making sure that you think about it because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? So it's good that
Yeah.
you've kind of worked through that, whether you've really planned it out or not. But now you've got a little bit more balance.
Yeah, and I have an opportunity now to see that happening in other team members. Like, whoa, you got to rebalance.
Right. Yeah. Great to have that perspective as leader.
Mm-hmm.
Great. That's brilliant. And just before we go here, I get that. It's like you get on the ice and you don't have the ability, or it's very, very challenging to keep thinking about the stuff that's going sideways or going good at work because you got a different job to do. So it's good. That's switching. I think it's good for the brain. And maybe, like, I've done some of this stuff before. It's also like, I'm definitely going to be good at this. Like, I'm going to kill this tonight. This next hour, I'm going to succeed. So it's a good pat on the back as well before you get back into it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Right on. Okay. So let's get into nuts and bolts. So you went to school in Saskatoon. You then jumped into the oil and gas industry, starting with, just looking at the LinkedIn profile, Tundra Oil and Gas. And I think you can correct me on this stuff, but you were on the exploration side and then went into the midstream side of the business. And then ultimately, after about, let's say, 7 or so years, you decided to make that jump. So really interested in understanding what that opportunity was that you identified. What was that motivation to jump and start your own business? But perhaps give us a little bit of lead up of early career and then what ultimately got you to that jumping point.
Sure. So I got to go back a little bit further, actually.
Okay.
Because I studied engineering physics at the University of Saskatchewan. And at the time of graduation, the University of Saskatchewan was building the largest science project in the history of Canada. And it was like a synchrotron facility where you speed electrons up real fast and you turn them and they shoot off light and then use that light to look at things. I actually, before I went to oil and gas, that's where I worked. I worked at the university. Yeah. It was a wicked, awesome experience. Had good leadership there. Basically.
Canadian Light Source. I missed that.
Yeah.
Right in front of me. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So that was cool. And I think actually, if you look back at things, probably like fundamental in my learning, because as a scientist, you're always trying things, failing, trying.
Right.
And so it teaches you how to fail and how to learn from it. And I mean, that was a really good education.
Yeah, you're accustomed to it.
Beginning, even just like as the person doing the failing, but also seeing what my bosses did. Like, they gave me enough leash and guidance, so like to fail, but also work me through it. And that was a really cool experience, and we killed it there. Like, we, in like 3 years, we had like 25 publications, and we were just absolutely.
Wow, I did not know about this.
Yeah.
Interesting. So was there a lot of academia experiments? You did a bunch of research papers published, which is interesting. I might have to go search some of those with your name on it later. So was there like a business outcome? Always interested in things that start within universities. There's lots of tech, and then they come out and hit like commercializability and scaling. Did anything happen there?
Oh, a couple things happened actually. One is that you're right. You nailed it. Like, I was looking for projects that could get funding, and projects that in my mind that could get funding were projects that solved industry problems.
Right.
Right. And so I always had this leaning that I didn't even know it was real. That was just me being me towards the industry and probably the commercial side, or maybe even the entrepreneurial side. And so then Brett Wilson was starting up the Center for Entrepreneurship at the US, and he had this Brett Wilson Entrepreneurship Challenge. So I always had great ideas. Like, I've always had awesome ideas, and I had the ability to do it too, which seems to be rare. Like, a lot of people have good ideas, but they never do it. But I kind of did both.
Execution's everything.
I had this idea, and I did it, and I entered in that competition. And as a physicist, and I had to build a business plan, do all that stuff. I had no idea what I was doing. I had to present and all this stuff that was totally uncomfortable. And I won the darn thing.
Brilliant.
And
awesome.
so I got 25 grand cash and another $25,000 of in-kind contribution to be able to, and his network of people to be able to support me and pursue that idea.
It's like a mini Dragon's Den before he's actually on the show.
Yeah, no, it was actually, he was still on the show. I think actually that was the
Oh,
year he just left the show.
oh,
So yeah, that's
I guess it's
exactly
been a
how it was
while.
structured. Yeah,
Okay.
so there was a panel. It's pretty similar structure, and it was a good experience for me for that. They're like, well, you're an entrepreneur. I'm like, am I? I think I'm just a scientist. But
Same
it
thing.
did get me thinking, and it's clear I was, you know,
Yeah.
at some sort of capacity.
Yeah. And I'm sure winning that obviously felt good. He's been kind of a mentor from afar throughout my
Mhm.
career. So I imagine at that point, sure, check the box, feels good, you won this thing. But then they're kind of pushing you to say, keep going, go a little bit farther, take this $50,000 and some network and see what you can do. And was there also, like, at that stage, having someone like Brett Wilson involved, did it make you feel a little bit obligated to, like, oh shoot, now I got to like go the next step with this? Or did you just say, I'm good, on to something next or new now?
Yeah, I kind of did that. I'm good.
Okay.
I still have it. It's still there, and it's still
Like the
something I
50
can.
grand still there? You can still go use it?
No.
Oh, okay.
That went to my wedding.
Did you invite Brett at least? Did you get to go? No. Okay.
No, but no, the idea and everything is still there, and it's just life gets pretty busy, right? And then I was presented with other opportunities that I thought that would probably be better value for me, and it went that way.
Yeah, that's great. Kind of a lesson there too, which is like being able to know and have a definition for yourself of when to say no, even though it
Yeah.
might look really enticing.
Mhm.
Great. Okay. Next chapter. So you say,
Next
no,
chapter.
Brett, thanks, I'm good. See you in the next chapter maybe. And
Yeah.
then now you move on. What's the decision that you decide to go to?
So it was just a complete fluke that I landed at. So I was doing a presentation for one of our papers in Greece on water, and I was on my flight back from Greece, and I sat next to this amazingly fascinating lady. We chatted the whole flight, like it was like 8.5 hours. And she was a physicist, and she was in the energy space, and she was at the time the vice president of Tundra Oil and Gas, and she's now the president. But we had a great chat, and she's like, we're always looking for young, bright minds. And I was like, no, I'm academia for life. Excuse me. But then I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to give this, I trusted her. I guess maybe just the mutual physics people trust.
And
so,
8 hours plus of conversation right off the get-go, right? It gives you a feel. Yeah, totally.
And so she flew into Calgary and to meet the team. So then so she's taking me around all the offices. I get to meet every single, at that time they were 20,000 barrels a day. So not, maybe a bit less actually. So not too big, smaller office. And the leadership there were just phenomenal. Like they were just like, we're doing all these cool things. And so basically in my mind, I saw like a massive science project, because they're very technical people,
right,
that had a massive budget around it. And
I don't have to go look for money. This is great. I can do many projects. Yeah.
And, and their commitment to me to teach me everything about the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
So I, obviously very scared at the time. My wife then was pregnant. And so it's like, okay, this is a big move. What do you do? And and then I ran into a gentleman who I use as a resource since then, as like whenever I make any large decisions in my life. Just an amazing dude. I get into his office. He's a beast. Like I'm 6'1". He's taller than me. Big mustache, handlebars, Harley Davidson shirt. Just like I'm going like, oh my God, this is what I imagine the energy patch to be. Just these big, scary,
yeah, ogres.
bruisers.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I sit down, and he just gives so much wisdom and care and knowledge in like 15 minutes. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he's saying like the most amazing things I've ever heard. Like, and then he leaned over and he's like, Chris, if you take this job, we will not let you fail.
Wow. Selling to you.
Like,
yeah.
I was sold, done, packed the bags. Away I went. And I just, these guys were just awesome leaders. And I mean, that's just one. And Bill has been I wouldn't say a mentor. I don't know if that's a real word, but he's always been there to give me a hand whenever I have these decisions. He has such a clear mind, and he has these Bill-isms that are awesome. And so we've maintained that friendship to date. And he's a great human.
Yeah, it's great. And that theme we'll keep hitting on it here today, which is people. So handlebars, i.e. Bill, it keeps popping up throughout the storyline of how you're building things out. That's great. And then, so did you, like, at that point in time, did you call back home? Your wife's pregnant with first baby, I think. First baby at that point. Yeah. And say, hey, I just met Handlebars. You're going to love him. He said, essentially, there's no way I can fail. We're doing this. And she just said, okay, sure, let's go.
No, she said, well, why don't you put the foot in the hot tub before you cannonball in? And I was like, actually, that's really good, because one of the great things, and we do this here, is that I was coming in as exploitation engineer.
Yep.
And I wasn't reporting to Bill. I was reporting to Raj, another like phenomenal leader. I didn't know anything about the patch.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
And so what they committed to me is, you're going to go, and it sounds almost awful, but to me it was the best thing ever. But you're going to go live in Manitoba for unknown amount of months and learn the business.
Yeah.
And for me, who loves to get like the hands dirty and understand things, I'm like, this is wicked. Great. For a company to be able to. And they're thinking, I can't believe this guy is going to go live there. And so I went out there and I operated right from the ground up.
Yeah. And this is in southern Manitoba?
This is in,
like central, southern. Yeah. Yes, not way up north. Southern. Yeah. Okay.
No. And I got kind of put to the team out there, and the team took me under their wing and taught me everything. And so they gave me all the tools, and then when I was done the learning program out there, they spit me back to Calgary, and I was just an absolute weapon.
Yeah.
Because,
learn the basics, the fundamentals.
Learn the basics. Yeah. And that was awesome. So we try to do that here at Broadbill.
Yeah.
We just had one of our commercial leads head out and spend a month in the field understanding the asset. And you don't see that anymore, where you have a true commercial person going out and understanding these assets. And I just love it.
Yeah. Actually get it. Yeah, for sure. And I'd probably say, let me know your thoughts here. One, I think it's twofold. One is the understanding of the actual assets that, a commercial person is dealing with, or anyone in the, as they say, at the ivory tower for oil and gas downtown Calgary, that they understand, what they're working with actually out in the field. But also it's the people. It's like Sally and Joe, the operators, like those relationships, from my experience, like if you don't build a good rapport, have fun. Like you're not going to be able to succeed, because whether they, best case scenario, they just don't listen to you and you can keep chugging along. But if they try to divert what you're trying to do, you're done. Like it's just not going to happen. It's a team sport.
Yeah. You've earned their trust, first of all. And second of all, I know my mind. I'm going to be thinking of all these crazy things to do. And I need these people to be able to guide me through getting it done, because I'm going to come up with the idea, and even with my experience out there, I won't know everything, and you'll need to get the group together. And we did. We tried some amazing things, and some worked, some didn't, and we just kept going. And it was a pretty cool experiment.
Yeah, I was saying, cool. Experimenting keeps going here. Yeah, brilliant. Mm-hmm. Now you've got unlimited cash-ish, and you've got a bunch of people that's joined the team, your team, Chris's team, to keep doing experiments.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So you have a great field tour over, how long were you out in the field?
I think like the number grows. So it's like 10 years now, but really I think it was like, I was first 6 months, and then it was kind of back and forth.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So basically a year, first year was kind of out there.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. That's a good span. Okay. So now you're back in Calgary. And what things are you working on? And like, is there a progression through different roles and responsibilities throughout your term at Tundra?
Yep. So I started as you after that year, I'm a classic exploitation engineer, and I had a lot to learn there, because my technical side that I really liked, I got really educated in secondary and tertiary recovery. So that could be either water floods or surfactants or CO2 or nitrogen it went to. So I got into that part of the business, which I really loved, because a lot of stuff we were trying new for the first time. And so you'd have to have good scientific methodology, or sometimes, like Bill said, sometimes, Chris, you just can't overscience it and you got to give it a shot.
Just do her from handlebars.
Just do her, right?
And
so that was,
before let me jump in quick, just because there are going to be some listeners that are going, what is flooding? What did he just talk about? If you can pretend for a moment, you probably don't have to pretend. I'm my 12-year-old daughter. Can you explain so I can understand what that process is you just talked about?
Yeah. So, primary is you drill an oil well and you take the water out, take the oil out with water and everything. Secondary is perhaps when you're pulling that oil out, the pressure in the reservoir decreases. So maybe you need to add pressure. So all the oil out, you're adding water back down to be able to keep that pressure down. So the oil feels the need to come out. Or you can have water flood, which effectively pushes the oil, using water, pushing the oil towards the water well. You can put surfactant in that would leach the oil off the surrounding rock, and then you can use CO2 and nitrogen for similar techniques to be able to get more oil out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a bunch of different strategies and technologies that have been created over the years to ultimately get hydrocarbon out of the ground when it's challenging to do so. If it's not just the what you see in the movies where it's punch the hole and oil is flying everywhere. If you don't have that scenario, there's other technologies you can use.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. You said it way better. Yeah. So doing all that stuff, and then there was this. It was a division of Tundra Oil and Gas. It was the marketing division, and so the marketing division was led by Brian Lancaster, and he was basically, his job was to get all their oil and get it to market, and that's a simple form. There's obviously a lot of technical stuff and commercial stuff in behind it. And I always found him very interesting, man. So I'd spend some time in his office, kind of just picking his ear and trying to see what it's all about, because he is an entrepreneur.
Okay. Yeah.
He had that personality, which is a bit magnetic for someone that obviously was inclined towards that entrepreneurial side. And at the time, he was breaking it out, that division, into its own company. To Tundra Energy Marketing, that is Kingston Midstream. And when he was breaking it out, he's like, "Well, would you want us to have us condiment with and just try it out over here as like an operations engineer?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Learn more? Learn something new?" Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, keeps going. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did that. So I went, and again, that took me back to the field. So I had to spend some more time out in understanding their assets. And, they had just a rapid, exciting growth strategy. And I was there effectively from day one. So I got to see all that on the business side, as well as like the infrastructure growth side. And, went from, building out 720,000 barrels of storage in Cromer, buying every pipeline in Manitoba effectively. And then finally the last acquisition I was there for was the $1.1 billion acquisition of the Southeast Saskatchewan pipeline system from Enbridge. So, M&A, got to learn a lot about that, but also got to learn about integration.
Yes.
Right. Growing companies. So it was a wicked learning experience. And I owe that team a lot just for allowing me to be a part of it.
Yeah, 100%. And would you say Broadbill, your business today, that is similar to that business that you just moved into in that storyline? So the midstream side of Tundra?
Yeah. So it's in generally the same space, but we're just so small potatoes compared to the big guys that okay. We're just recognizing that. But,
okay, we'll get into that.
Definitely in the same space. How the difference is that you have the midstreamer, you have the producer.
Yeah.
And what we try to do for Broadbill is put ourselves kind of in between, where we're providing midstream value back to the producer directly. Yeah. And so they get to participate in some of the upside. And we, that mentality of getting closer to the wellhead always is good business in oil and gas.
Yeah.
So we do this through strategic partnerships. So anyone we work with, they're not our customer. We're in it together.
Partner. Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? It's just awesome. Right.
Yeah. And I think it's a unique way to run a midstream business. And I'll even reference right on your landing page. I've got a quote from it or some wording that we'll go through, which I think is great because it is a differentiator I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So you jump over to the new opportunity to learn. You jump over into the field again. Hey, Chris is back. Great. More experiments. And you get some new assets. And throughout the term, you're doing a lot of interesting things. You have M&A that you talked about.
Yeah.
You're working with pipelines. You're building storage. Fine print. We didn't run into each other early in our careers, but that the best tank you always talk about, like that storage tank out in Cromer, I actually built that in early career. I know you always talk about it. It was like, man, this is the best tank we had in all of our assets. Yeah, I built that. Yeah, flew out.
Nailed it.
Anyways, small connections. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Still working today.
Yeah, I'm still working today.
Sorry, this is about you. I'll stop. Okay, great. Okay, great. So you've been running that for a while, and you're doing things with, you're involved with quality, your volumetrics, the commercial side. So now we're getting closer to the end of your career with Tundra. Where does the idea or opportunity or just crazy thought of, okay, I need to go do my own thing, where does that come from? Is there more to it, steps to it, or what happened?
Well, I think there wasn't any real event that happened. It's just that we grew so quickly at Kingston, which was fun. We all were all part of it. But then, the shareholders ultimately decided that, like, listen, you guys grew quickly. You need to figure that asset out now and don't continue to grow. So it's almost a mandate of no growth. And it's like, whoa, no. I think it was the right decision by the shareholders ultimately.
So
right?
so what they're saying, make sure I hear this right. Essentially, they're saying your team has grown this business so fast. Yeah. We feel that you're out over your skis, and maybe there's a risk there. So like, let's pause growth and
not over your skis. More like, let's realize the asset value and pay down the debt, and just like
gotcha.
Yeah, and understand how well we can operate this and optimize it, because there's a lot of work that we wanted to do, and that's all great and that's all fine, and that's the right decision by them. But for me, I was just looking down the barrel of little activity for 6 more years, and I was the youngest executive by 12 years. So I think the executives were very happy to get into that.
Right.
And I don't blame them. It's just I was still young and ready to go. So I was like, well, maybe maybe there's another opportunity, and that just kind of gets one thinking, right?
Right. Yeah. And though I'm assuming, reading between the lines, you're saying like those other executives that were 12 years your senior, they've done this. They've been running full out. They've been acquiring, building, and you just got more. It's like, and my gas tank's still half full. Let's go more.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's, you actually nailed it. Like, I don't blame. If I was in their position at that time, I probably made the same decision as them.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get you back on. The podcast will still be here in 5 years, and then we'll see if you're like on more of the coast. Exactly. Who's the junior coming
alive.
in? See, we're alive. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Retiring at, you're going to beat your dad, the old man. Retiring at 45, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. 10 more years.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's where the thought process came from. Maybe this is the perfect fit. Maybe it is, but I'm going to go jump out and find something where I can grow. And did it just happen that you're like, okay, I'm just going to go replicate this? I see an opportunity in the market. How did that opportunity come around? Were there other people involved?
Yeah, well, I always had that idea, and I think actually, Rick Grafton said this.
Yes.
He said, for every great idea someone in Calgary has, there's 10 others with the exact same idea. And that was certainly the case for this one, right? So I was thinking about an idea where you can, bring some of the value back to the producer. And Broadbill actually existed prior to me joining it. So there was a small shareholder base that was trying to get something similar to that. I don't think they had the capacity to be able to do it. Just they didn't have the experience or the knowledge specific to that. And so when I was looking around, I chatted with them, and I was like, okay, well, there's something here. I just think that it needs to be done a little bit different.
Okay.
And so my proposal was to keep some of the same shareholder base, but add, so basically do a kind of a recap to it. And so bring in cash, bring in strategic shareholders, bring in myself, and really make an honest go at it.
Right.
And so that's when I stepped over there in late 18.
Okay. So it was a early stage business that already started.
Yeah.
So I might be able to define you as a acquisition entrepreneur. You kind of came in. I know it's early, probably close to a startup then. Was it
Well,
like,
it wasn't
cash flow?
generating cash.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no
Okay.
cash.
You're a startup guy. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not taking a 6-figure salary as soon as I come on. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you found an opportunity, started searching around. I didn't know this. So found this opportunity, saw that there was talent, probably cash experience that was needed, brought that to the table, did a modification of the cap table, brought in people, yourself and some other people that had those talents that you saw gaps with the current company, and then started executing. So at that point, can you give me an idea? Like, are you majority shareholder? Are there like a group of 3-4 people that are majorities? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's a smaller shareholder base.
Okay.
So I think that there's five folks. Some have come and gone. Now we're at 7, and so it's pretty small.
Okay.
For me to take it, we all put our own money in, right? So that as well. I'm the poorest one out of the shareholders.
And the poorest one's doing a lot of the lifting, I assume?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
And
so it works.
But with me being the poorest, I still wanted to contribute my equitable share of cash. So that means leveraging the house and doing all those scary things and all
personal guarantees or leverage the house. Same-ish kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got a good personal guarantee story if we ever get to it. But
we're going to get to it. Yeah.
But it's all those that's the leap, right? That's that moment where you're just like, okay, we're going to remortgage the house and dump a bunch of money into this idea. I believed in the idea, and I knew with experience and the team that we had put together, I think we have a good chance of doing it. I'm never batting 1,000 but
no, it's not a perfect chance. It's not like not given. Yeah. And what did the conversation with your better half look like, sound like? She
trusted me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You chatted you chatted about it, right? Like went through.
No, it's a conversation, and it's kind of, we were young enough that if it totally collapsed, it would be really challenging, but
it's worth dig out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
put the chits on the table.
We both had really good skills that would be able to go back into the market with our tail between the legs and get a job and start working. But no, I think just, she knows me quite well, and she knew that the people that we have, that we're not gonna let it beat us.
Totally. Yeah. And if I can relate to it, it's the better halves of entrepreneurs. They typically already are involved and understand where things are going before that final decision. It's like, can you hurry up and just make the decision? Like, you've been thinking about this enough? Like, pull the money to the house and do it, right? And go. Yeah. Great. Okay. And at this point in time, how many kids when you're deciding to remortgage the house to go into this? 3. So this is, I think it comes up quite a bit, right? It's the busiest time in life. You've got 3 kids, responsibility, maybe a little bit naive, but let's go. Let's get to, yeah. A little bit. Yeah. When are you not, Is that like, are you 70 when you decide, okay, let's be more realistic, but you got to get up and swing, right? Okay. Okay. So you've, things are off to the races. So at this point, it is a startup. So customers?
Yeah, we didn't have a lot at the beginning, but we focused on our major customers, and we had our first customer. It was phenomenal, and he helped us get our what he always says, our goat trail into a freeway, and he was committed to doing that and helping us. So it's like, it goes back to the people, right? It's, align yourself with people that are trying to help, and there are people out there that are, others that aren't, but for the most part, there's good people, and they trusted us, and I had a pretty good reputation out there, and so did everyone at the company, that were really just good, honest, humble people that are going to work their butt off to make sure that Broadbill is successful as well as them.
Right. Okay. And I may know the answer to this, but why were they jumping to be in business with you? Why not someone that had a longer track record?
Well, I think one, all those trust things, and and we spend a lot of time informing them about the business to get them smarter and help them out about maybe part of the business that they don't know a lot about. And it's always been a bit of black box. So there's always that intrigue. But ultimately, I think the reality is they want someone else at the table so they can probably lever a deal with the big guys,
Sure.
keep the big guys honest,
Sure.
So we may only be touching 10% of their volume, but the other 90 is getting a better deal because there's a threat of people like ourselves cutting out the bigger guys. And so I think that'd probably be their
competition is good. Yeah. Trust these guys, but if nothing else, like let's get them to the table and get some pricing, and we can at least put it up against the other guys and see if they drop down.
And we do our role, and we were happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. Take the opportunities you get when you're starting off. And so coming back, when I pull up Broadbill Energy, one of the first thing that pops is $17 million. And you're like, oh, what's that about? So this is $17.4 million as of today are dollars that are shared profit dollars that are between, is this between you and producers, or are these like shared profit dollars that have gone to producers?
That have gone to producers.
Got it. And this number changes every so often. It's not like real time.
Yeah, it should change in 3 days. Yeah, at the end of settlement, we look back and all the profit share, and so it's I love it. It's kind of been a bit of a disruptor with some of the other midstream companies, but we're like wickedly transparent.
The model is disruptive.
Yeah. Well, even showing what we're giving back. There's always the idea of like we're giving back too much. It's like, well, that's our model, and we're proud of it, and we put it on the website, and that they used to move like 50 grand a month. Now it's moving $1 million a month, and we hope it to be bigger, right? So it's
at some point you might like get a show the curve of like over time, like the hockey stick, right? Everyone loves the hockey stick, but that'll be interesting to see.
We do it, and we live and die by it, and that's because when we have a board of directors, and when we look at our quarterlies, we show how we've done successfully in our revenue, we've shown how we've grown our volume, and we show how we've grown our producer profits. Because if we are doing the first two and the last isn't happening, well, that's a huge deviation from our business plan, and we'd be held accountable to it.
Right. So and a core value for the business.
And a core value, right? Yeah. So it's like, oh, great, you guys did really good, but the producers didn't. So there's a bit of a problem there. And so we just, it's something that we hold ourselves to, and our bonus structures around.
Right.
So if producers aren't doing good, we don't get our money.
So really, I enjoy companies that, and I think all companies should have one, is one measurable number, one KPI, right? Sure, there's other ones that you have to be looking at to look at where things might be falling apart or where there are opportunities. But usually a company wants to have one KPI they're very, very focused on. This seems like yours, which is great. And that KPI does connect to how you guys differentiate and core value, which is brilliant. I haven't seen anything like this in the market within North America, at least, and definitely not publicized, right? If it is, it's behind closed doors.
I mean, there's people sharing and helping and doing all these things. I don't think they own it quite as much, or they certainly in their compensation structure put that as a metric to which you'll be compensated is how much has gone back to the producer.
Yeah, interesting.
So if Broadbill gets the dollar or the producer gets the dollar, there's more value weighted towards that producer in terms of growth, because we're trying to go long term, right? We just can't be chasing that easy money,
quick wins.
Wins. It's just like everyone here are long term thinkers and long term value adds instead of the quick people.
Yeah, great way to think. And we won't go into it too much, but I would think if you look at publicly listed midstream companies anywhere in the world, at least let's say North America, you can probably look at their financials to pick out the number, which is, I guess, the number that's connected to where they could profit share, right? Is like, what is that uptick of business? So maybe that's like a target for you guys. You look through all their financials and go, okay, that's how big the prize is there. Let's go try to get some logos. Let's go fishing. Okay, I won't go there. I'm telling your strategy. No. Okay. So just one sec here. I wanted to just to read this out. So from your website, Broadbill Energy takes on a collaborative approach with our producer partners. We share all profits with our partners. We only win if our partners are winning. Reach out to learn more. I love that. We only win if our partners are winning. like definition of partnership. Great. Okay. So,
funny, quick story on that.
yeah.
In the early days, so 2018, I'm new in the seat, and we have a massive differential blowout in Western Canada, and basically the producers are getting zero, and sometimes having to pay people to take their crude, so they're getting zero value for it.
Yes.
And what we did is we brought a lot of that zero value crude into a place where it did have value. And so everyone was doing that. That's not innovative. But what the midstreamers were doing was not giving the producer that value. They're still giving them the zero value for it. And so for us, we did all that, and we never even considered giving zero value. We just considered, we'll get you in the market and we'll give you half the value that's there, or whatever, a third or whatever, some sort of
$2 per barrel.
And we gave them, but you're looking at it, you're hearing no one's giving anything. And so it's an opportunity in the early days. House is still on the line. And you're looking at, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
sorry, keep going.
And so I'm just like, well, there was 4 employees at the time. And so we're like, well, we're not going to take it. We're just going to give it all back. So not even keep a lot for ourselves. Give it all back.
You did a 180 on the, we'll call it the traditional model.
Yeah. And so then I go to the board and I talk to the shareholders. I'm like, this is the idea. This is the plan that we always said we do this. We didn't think it'd happen so quick. And we floated all back through. And I thought it would be a conversation. And the shareholders were like, yeah, obviously that's what you're going to do. And so I was like, oh, well, that's great. I got myself aligned with the right people here.
Yeah, you come in, I'll prep for, maybe a bit of, not a fight, but like a good discussion.
Yeah, a good discussion,
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah. And so we did it. And so people got, it was still a depressed value because that's where the whole market was at. But it was all the value that was there and then some.
Right.
And so they got, a couple $100 a cube instead of zero. And so it's, again, millions of dollars that went back to them.
Yeah, especially with like junior producers.
Yeah,
right. They take that brunt, and I know there's marketing and like hedging you can take on as part of your strategy for sure. But usually your whole book or all volumes aren't covered by hedging, at least from what I've seen. I'm no expert, but they ride some percentage of their volume rides the market. And when it goes down to minus $20 per barrel or whatever it was, they're like you said, paying to get rid of that. So when we think about businesses, the world that I'm in, you're looking at like what are the fixed costs or the variable costs of your business. And from time to time, businesses can look at strategy and go, it's okay if I don't cover my variable as long as I cover my fixed. If I'm not covering my fixed, I've got a problem. Well, in this state, like you're not covering anything.
No.
Right? There's you're inverse, right? You're paying.
Absolutely.
So so you brought something unique, an opportunity to the market in a time of dire straits. And I think, what did that period last for? Was it a couple of weeks?
2 months.
2 months. Oh, 2 months. Okay.
Yeah.
With time, things change. So 2 months.
Yeah.
So 2 months is a long time. Like people are feeling it. So I imagine during that period of time, did you get new customers coming in?
We did.
Yeah.
And that was not the intent. It's not like, oh, we have a great marketing strategy. This is like, no, it wasn't.
You're trying to help your partners. Yeah.
Trying to help your partners. And so we did it. And the interesting part is that by giving it back to the partners that we had zero value crude, we were taking some profits away from the partner out there that we were delivering into. And you know what? He was okay with it because he's been on the other side before.
Right.
So it's like good partners are just, everyone it was working perfect. And I think for us, it was galvanizing because if you're not going to, integrity, right? If you're not going to take the bait of that easy money, the quick fix in the hardest of times when you're first starting out, then you're just never going to do it. So, no one's ever crossed that line. And that's just we still see it today, which is pretty cool.
This is how many years into it at this point?
That was year one.
That was year one. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was quick off to start. Okay. And then maybe we'll get into the tough periods. In our pre-chat, I said, hey, are there any of those fetal position moments. And you're like, oh my goodness, I've got a whole list. Like I've got them ranked about how bad they, yeah, anyways, I've got a whole list. And so there's probably one there. So you're running this for a while. Is there a moment where it was really, we'll call it like the fetal position is literally that, like in that cubby behind that post behind you, you're kind of, on the floor in the fetal position.
It was like me this morning thinking about this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. The suffering. So that's somewhere on the list, probably midway. But so when was the first time you're going, oh my goodness, this is not working out or something's gone sideways? Can you share a little bit about that?
I mean, obviously the big fetal was COVID.
Okay.
Like that was the one that was really challenging.
Because you're two years into it at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was challenging because we had just deployed a bunch of capital on a second site, and we were starting to get customer momentum, and looking at our growth opportunities. At the initial time, we had mezz financing to start to be able to support. I think it was like $1.5 million, so nothing large, but what mezz is, right? It's higher interest. Looking back now, it actually wasn't too bad, but we did our work, right? We knew we could carry that burden,
right?
And we wanted to grow, and so that was just a immediate requirement. Didn't think we were bankable, but
right,
higher interest on demand,
right? So at that point you did weren't bankable. So at that point in time, did you go to primary lenders to test the waters, and we're getting a lot?
We did. We were bankable. We were with RBC. We were with RBC, and they were fine to us. But just on speed and growth, we just were moving quicker than probably they were comfortable with, and so we needed to just go to alternative to just have just an operating line to be able to just move a bit.
Yeah, and sometimes when people say more like entrepreneurial banks, and it's not a hit on the bigger banks. They tend to be crossover in some of that space, but sometimes it just makes sense. It's a fit. Okay, yeah. So you've got a loan, you've got high interest. COVID happens. Yeah.
They called a loan.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it sounds awful, and it was happening to everyone then.
Right.
Right. And it was within their right. And it was COVID, and oil went to negative gazillion, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
And
so what did that look like? Excuse me. I assume there's covenants that you need to achieve in order to stay in the green with that loan. Was that I don't know.
It was on demand. It was
just on demand. Just
yeah.
Knock.
But, the idea is, and the hope was that you'd never have to do it because everything was going to be fine. But again, you get into these early deals that you kind of got to do because you're not as bankable in those early days as you'd hope. But it was, looking back at it, it's probably the best thing for us, right? When I got out of the fetal position, it's like, all right, let's go do this. And
don't let it beat you. Don't let it beat you. Yeah.
But at that time, we had a really strong team around us.
Right.
We built out the executive, and we had a powerful unit to go on and tackle the problem. Does that mean our growth wouldn't happen quite as quick? No, but during COVID, you're just tough to grow anyhow, right? You're not able to talk to people. So we took it as an opportunity to find who would be our good partner going forward, to be able to support our business. And obviously, initially it's private equity, right? So we met all the different private equity firms that we could possibly imagine. And we met some really awesome people. Most of them were really great. Very unique models between all the different firms.
Sure.
And just none of them really fit what we wanted to do.
Right. Okay. And were you looking with PE shops just within Calgary, Western Canada, or were you looking Toronto?
No. Yeah. Toronto.
Okay.
Texas, we were kind of looking everywhere. So, once you have the script, you kind of can hit the market with it.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we learned a lot about the different structures. Some were really interested in, others were just pass, and that's okay.
Right.
Because we didn't think we were bankable. It's like, well, man, we're doing a lot of things. We're, it's now mid-year, and our production kept coming through, which was good. So we were carving out some cash.
Yeah.
And it showed that our business was a bit more resilient to fluctuations in TI, which everyone's concerned about.
Sure.
In which we were telling people it's less it's less exposed to WTI, but
they're not correlated.
We also went to the bank. So we went back to RBC and every other major bank, and then they started coming out with term sheets, and pretty good term sheets.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, and it was so this is 21 now, and sitting in the sit at the lake back at Waskasu in Saskatoon on the boat with my neighbor, who is also a small business owner. And he's like, you got to talk to my bank I use. And there was a credit union. And I was like, sure. Like, we've talked to everyone else, add it to the list.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Yeah. And so we met with this bank, and they were awesome.
Right.
Like, they were absolutely phenomenal. They seemed to care. Right. So when you meet with the three people, and that's the COO, the CEO, and risk all in the same room.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So quicker decision making,
all at one.
And the terms that they were offering were equivalent to anyone else that they offered, and we just got a really good feel from them. Just
okay.
Like, listen,
and
you want to
sorry, cut you off. Those terms that they offered, you're saying they're like something usual that they send out to all businesses they work with, or you're saying like they look similar to like the big banks or other banks?
Similar to the big banks.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
right.
Okay.
So big opportunity for accessing capital, and interest rates are low.
Yes.
And so we're just like, well, they seem too good to be true. And so you talk to your network, and like, well, the biggest concern with smaller banks is that you'll grow out of them.
Right.
And I was like, how is that a problem? Like,
that's a future problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, you're saying that that we made the right decision today. We made it such a good decision that we're so successful that we too big for them. Like, that seems like a really great problem I want to take on.
Yeah, and one that they probably want too. It's like, even if it's a 5-year relationship with them, they've got paid and made their money, so why not?
Yeah. Right. And so we decided to move it to them. I mean, we still had to use the one of the big banks for some of our LCs, because some people don't recognize
right.
The credit union as a credible bank.
Yeah.
But during these last couple of years, this credit union has been buying a bunch of other ones. So now they're a much bigger entity, and so are we. And so they just continue to be a wicked support for us. And I tell not everyone, I tell my friends who are small business owners about them as well. And it was such a good experience. And then it's so great that, a year later they'll come back and like, yeah, those guys were just as great as you said they were.
Awesome. Brilliant.
Which reminds me of that PG story. So the personal guarantee.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's go there. I'm just going to say, after the show, when we're not recording, I want to know the actual name of the bank.
Yeah.
Because sure. I like banks these days too.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got through that. Just to summarize quickly, the loan that you had, the mezz loan to expand the business, get new assets, it was pulled during COVID, and no reason. It's just on-demand loan. So that's how it works. And it was probably because their business, they were scared, like everyone was, and a bunch of things going sideways within their portfolio.
Uncertainty.
Yeah, totally. So then you go out, you do I think they call it the road show. You've got kind of your deck and your pitch together, and you go all over North America to PE shops, not really thinking that you could be bankable. And then ultimately you met a lot of people within PE as well as the banking industry, and then it's on a dock on a lake where you get new bank, and now you've solved the problem and back off to the races. Great. So you're going to talk about the PG.
Yeah. So
and then there's also before I'm jumping ahead. So PG, but I think you also had a story around like innovative debt structures. Am I correct there?
No,
I'm dreaming.
Debt structures.
Okay.
Yeah, debt structure is pretty boring.
Okay.
Pretty boring.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Interesting debt structures can be dangerous. Okay, so PG story.
Yeah, ours is as basic as it comes. But the PG story, I just think it's funny, and maybe some of your listeners will appreciate it, because when you're starting a business, everything is PG. And so, if COVID happens and something unforeseen happens, they're not just taking the company, they're taking the house and all that stuff, and that's not comfortable for me.
Yeah.
And because I had everything in it. Right. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to call these guys. And because you can call them, right? You can call the CEO of the company or the COO and actually get them on the line of the credit union.
Right.
And I was like, what do you want? Like, I will sign a PG tomorrow for anything against anything fraudulent or illegal, like anything that is within my control, that I'm doing something or misleading, or if I lied to you, I'll sign a PG. You take my house, take everything, because
Yes.
that'll never happen.
Yes.
But I'm not going to sign a PG for a meteor hitting all my sites at the exact same time. I'm just, that's ridiculous. And I said, furthermore, I've got everything in it. Like, like what more do you want? I got my house in it. I've got everything. I've miled out my truck. What do you want? Do you want my 220,000 kilometer Chevy? Like, and so they just started laughing. They're just like, oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
We'll just do pink slips. We'll take the truck. Pink slips only.
Like, we don't want it. No, we get it. You're in. No PG required. But like a very casual conversation like that, they just waived it. And even in the structure of the debt, they waived the covenants. And I was like, okay, the term sheet here doesn't have any covenants on it. And what? They're like, well, we'll get there, Chris. We just don't know your business well enough. And over the next 6 months, we're going to get to know it, and get to know you, and get to know your cash structure and requirements. And then we'll get there in the future. But today, when we get into business with you, we don't want to be putting arbitrary covenants in there that's going to stress you out, dictate you to, or force you to make decisions that aren't good for the business. So go do your thing, and let's talk back in 6 months. Like, how great is that?
Oh man, that's brilliant. And obviously they take that into some type of a risk structure, right? They're okay with the amount of capital they're giving you. So it's like, yeah, sure, let's let it roll. It's a good start. And then I'm sure before they're behind the scenes, they're saying, okay, we're not giving them any more money until like we figure out this business and get covenants. Exactly. But that's awesome, right? It's truly those are actions of a partnering bank.
Yeah. And which goes to the theme, right? We partner with our customers, we partner with the bank, and it's just like we're actually in it together. That's just a really good feel.
Yeah. And it's I like your comment there about just being able to call up the CEO of the bank and have a discussion. You don't get that all the time either, which is nice. No. And I've had some conversations with entrepreneurs, business owners about the personal guarantees. And I would say generally there's not the flexibility that you got, which is like just binary. But there is some depending, right? Sometimes these I find anyways, and I'm not an expert in it, but I find personal guarantees kind of start with, like you said, unlimited risk. Anything goes sideways, it's all gone. But at the same point, like these are, I don't know, I haven't found a bank that actually wants to operate a midstream company, right? Like you're probably the best bet unless, all those first things you said, like unethical work, which you're not going to do. If you're not that person, like you're the best person to get out of a jam anyway. So like, yeah, please keep your house. You need to sleep. Please get some sleep and let's figure out a different solution. So
it was always we'd never go there. It's like, well, then why is it in it?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I believe you. Just take it out then.
Yeah, that's a great negotiation tactic.
Have it in there. It's like mixed messages here. But those are early days, right? I am so fond of those days. As stressful as it all was, and then how many field positions, like, it's not, we're 6 years now, we're not out of the woods or anything, and we have different challenges, but I mean, it's all those learnings, and and I think that's like a huge part is that it wasn't me dealing with it. Right?
Yeah.
It's with all my business partners that are still here, all working together. Right. So like if you talk to someone downtown and it's like, oh, what's Broadbill? Oh, that's Geo. Or that's Slav.
Yes.
It's not, oh, that's Chris.
Yes.
Right. And so that's what's wicked cool about it. It's like I can get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Yes.
Unfortunate. But it doesn't change anything.
Totally.
It just doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's all been done as a team, and wanting together, lost together, just like my U13 team.
100%.
It's just fun.
Yeah, and the times your business has come up in conversation more when I was in my downtown days. You're right. Like, I can give you the feedback. It wasn't. Oh yeah, that's Ryan's business, right? Chris Ryan's business. It was the team over at Broadbill, right? Yeah. A great stack of individuals. It's a great roster. Right on. Okay, so you guys are still alive. You guys are now 5 years into it. You've got a unique business model, very transparent too in it, not just words. And you've been growing. So you started off as, we'll say less than 10 people. I know there's some movement there. So less than 10 people, and then have grown this business. So as of today, what does the business look like? So areas of operation, number of people, We won't go deep into the finances, but maybe, what's, throughput, maybe, dollar
Sure.
throughput for the business.
So we're at 18 13 sites. 13 sites.
Okay, and
right
you've got
now.
an acquisition coming up for 5.
Yeah.
Right.
Whoops.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry. Team better not watch this.
You're not public. It's fine. Yeah, totally. Okay, 13 sites.
No, I'm laughing because I'm always 2 sites ahead.
Sure.
So like when we were at 10, I was telling people we're at 12 because I papered 12.
Right.
And so like, it's like, well, how many sites are we actually at? Well, we're actually at 13 sites, and 14 it would be the pipeline system that we just acquired.
Gotcha.
So we bought 90 kilometers of pipe as well. So what the business structure is that we've done a shotgun approach across Western Canada. So our idea there was, that's like our corporate hedge, that diversity. So operating in Drayton Valley, operating in Whitecourt, operating in Kindersley and Southeast Sask and Hardisty, and all these different locations are pretty challenging. But for us, it just makes a really strong business. And our motto is like, when we're approaching a potential partner, we want them to know that we built a strong business, because you want to partner with a strong, healthy company. The second the midstream is floundering in any capacity, usually profits start peeled out of the producer, right? So we thought that if we're diversified across Western Canada, that any market can bail out,
right,
and could tank. Well, we still have 10 other sites in different markets.
Yes.
Right. And so like one could hurt for a month, but we still, we have all these other sites that are doing well and doing strong, and maybe have the advantage of that market blowing out in that area that we could help the producer with.
That makes sense. So you've diversified. You guys are distributed operations throughout Saskatchewan, Alberta, the different commodities. So like if you're in southern Saskatchewan, like the market there, what can be different than what's happening in, say, Drayton Valley or Swan Hills. Is that what you're poking at mostly?
That's one.
Okay.
It could be pipeline apportionment and egress. There could be a problem getting oil out in any location. We've seen that obviously historically. It could be a wildfire.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
It could be other related items, or it could be counterparty. So we don't have just one customer that we're doing this everywhere. We have 100 different customers.
Yes.
And so, with M&A and all the acquisitions and consolidation going on, we have a pretty diverse portfolio of customers, so that, any bad thing that we possibly think could happen, we try to diversify ourselves from it.
Right. Yeah. And you've got a lot of variables, just the way that you've set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there was a fire in northern Alberta, you could, as an option, whether it makes financial sense or not, but you could say to those customers, let's bring those barrels, assuming you can get out, but bring those barrels down to Drayton or whatever operating facility. So you've got options.
And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
We just told all our customers, like, our terminals are open. Whatever you need, just know that we won't hose you.
Yes.
Because when people when people have a distressed barrel and something nasty, that usually means it's going to cost them a lot. We just said, we won't do it. You'll get it all back. We'll figure it out together, and just help yourselves out and focus on your community.
Just keep operating. Yeah. Keep operating, focus on your community. And how many people in Broadbill now?
51.
51.
Yeah.
Bridged 50. Excellent. And would you, like, the growth of the business related to people, have you added the majority in the last year or 2 years, or has it been like a steady growth?
The structure we took at the early days is that we're going to find the leadership that's going to be with us from day one. And we don't want to grow that leadership team. We want to continue to improve ourselves as leaders.
Sure.
And that's what we've done. So we've kept our leadership team intact. We've built out the back end office support.
Sure.
More than anything. So that was really important, just because as you grow, there's more volume and more data points, and and whether that's in operations, finance, commercial, optimization, there's just so much more data being required to manage.
Yes.
And so we've kind of built the mid and back office.
Gotcha.
So that's been our focus.
And field operations as well, I assume. As you get assets.
Every new site, you add one or two bodies.
Yeah. Right on. Perfect. And out of curiosity, for back office type activities, I know there's a lot within that definition. You guys using any interesting technologies, AI, or even considering those for efficiencies?
No, it's a big initiative that we've had for the last year. Is through that data management and trying to stream flow. Yeah. So it's a lot of similar tools to Power BI, right? Right. To be able to manage your business a bit better and easier with a couple clicks. And it's that the front end of that process that all of us, like, as a technology guy, it's like, man, we need to get there, but no one had a second in their day to be able to commit to it.
Right.
And so instead of doing that, we've hired people, and now we have a team that's looking after it to be able to streamline our business.
Yeah, find the smart people that understand this stuff, and maybe they don't fully get the business, but you can help them easily with that to figure out what's the best solution. Hopefully something off the shelf versus, I don't know, maybe you guys will do it, but jumping into building software is challenging.
There's always a bit of both, right? There's always a bit of both, and
customization.
I think again, longevity is kind of the name of our game here. So we truly believe that if you're not a technology company, you're not a company for a sustainable future.
Yeah.
Like you've got to get into it. You've got to lean into it. There's a bunch of challenges, even on the labor side, that you could be able to, with Canada at historically low unemployment rates, it's hard to find people. You have technology and you have smart people. We got to roll it out to better your business.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Totally agree. And even reading statistics on where the demand is and where, I guess, where younger generations are looking to get educated, leveraging technology aligns well with where the volumes of people are getting educated within the technical areas. Hopefully more people get into trades. I think they should. Huge opportunity there, but
the guy leading our program there, Mark, he just hired this student that is doing his co-op with us, and he's just talking to this guy and what they're able to do. It's just, it's something like growing people. Awesome. This is something that is just like really checks a big box for me. It excites me.
Yeah. Exciting. Because
we're actually doing it. We're not just talking about it anymore. No, we got the right people in, and away we go.
Yeah. Get the right people, get some budget, do some more experiments, see what sticks. Yeah. Not everything's going to work, but it's fun. Awesome. And do you spend a bunch of, I guess, how are you spending your days these days, or your time these days? Are you in, experiments that are helping bring efficiencies to the business? It's more of like the core business, strategy, growth. Where are you focused?
Yeah, I probably on the strategy side more than anything, strategy and growth.
Yeah.
But strategy for us is how do we keep being the best, right? Just being naked and understanding what your flaws are and how do we address them, right? So it's like, okay, we need to be more timely with customers, for example. Okay, well this whole BI tools will help us with that, so that we're not spending so much time manually doing things, right?
Right.
Or it's, all right, well, what about our customer engagement? Like, what are we doing there? Just like, how do we continue to be the best?
Right. Yes.
What is our communication strategy externally? Because we do a lot of great things, and sometimes we get too busy that we forget to tell them what we're doing. I see that as a little bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, communications.
Like, how do we recognize our services for helping us?
Yeah.
Just like all these different nodes that are really, really fun. And then obviously there's always the business development side that continue to support. And it's honestly, it's a ton of fun.
You're having fun. I was going to say, like, you're having fun.
It's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Like, again, I don't need to be here because everyone can manage it themselves, but it's like, I sure do want to be here. So it's,
that's, I haven't had it happen yet, but that's one of my testers is like listening to how owners and CEOs say, this is what I do on a day to day. And then you watch like how much does their phone ding? How many times does someone run into their office? It's like, I think you're really in the business still. I don't think you're working on the business. But
well, it was scary. It was a scary transition for me, actually. Like we had a big strategy session after a 5-year to understand, like, kind of, again, strip ourselves down, look at what values got us here and what values we want to continue to lean into to take us to the next 20.
Yeah.
And a lot was, and my board recognized, like, it's getting me out of the business, and working on the business. And it's easier said than done.
Sure.
But, I'd go on a trip and I'd put Geo in charge, and I'd come back, and when he gave me the stuff back, I'd take a little bit less every time. And so his plate would grow as he had more and more responsibility. And so now, now there's, it's just worked really, really well. And now that I'm on this side, you get to see things in just far clearer perspective to be able to see how we can continue to be better.
Yeah, you're out of the weeds. Once you get out of the weeds and start looking over, you get to see a whole different view. Yeah. And
I still like to get in every once in a while, though.
I think you have to, right? It's like even if you don't need to be there and people don't want you there, it's like, let me get the hands dirty a little bit. It's like I'm sure I'll call you at some point and you'll be like, I'm back out in the field. They sent me here.
And see, that's the thing. That's what I love the most about it.
Yeah.
Like, me going out to the field isn't about me trying to understand what they're doing out there. Me out there is because I absolutely love it. Like, our operators out there are just beauties.
Yeah.
Like, if I was forced to retire tomorrow, I'd go and live in the field and operate and just hang out with those guys.
Yeah, area foreman.
Problem solve, with more mechanical solutions. I love it.
Fix things, have barbecues. It's like they're working hard out there. Yeah, I'm not saying that they're not, but it's fun.
It's weird. It inspires me.
Yeah.
Like, after I come back from a field visit, I'm inspired.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just such a good feeling, and it doesn't happen very often. It seems ridiculous to some people, but for me, it just works. And it's kind of my thing.
Yeah. Great people. And I found that too. When you get up to the field, they kind of give you a reset, right? It's like, if you're stressed out about things, like, things are good. We're going to work hard. We're going to get stuff done.
Yeah, we're going to figure it out.
It's all good. Chill out, John.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And I love how, like, I can hear the, how genuine you're talking about these things. Like, for an example, really quickly here, you said, we're looking at things that we need to improve on. Well, right away, I'm going, okay, I'm going to ask them, what do you suck at? And you don't even give me the opportunity. Like, you say the top two right away. So, and that's genuine, right? And that's like the transparency you have. I'm sure maybe customers might listen to this and like, oh yeah, they do suck at that. And it's great that Chris is thinking about how they're going to fix it.
You know what? We asked them.
Sure. Okay.
We got this new program that we're rolling out that I'm excited about. It's a dedicated customer success rep. And so this person would go to our customers and all the different chains of it. Like, sometimes we have one point of contact with our customer.
Yep.
So that, we have a relationship, they feel comfortable saying, like, you got to be better at this. And that will always exist. But there's probably 5 other nodes in that office that we have touch points. That could be just finance. Are we paying them quick enough? Or is it, that could be operations? Well, maybe we don't answer their calls when we don't know.
Right.
And so if we have a person calling these and touching base with them and asking them how we're doing, and when we were very cautious about when we want to roll this out, because if you ask someone how we're doing, they say, well, you can be better at that, but you're not able to correct it. That's not a good feeling for them.
Yeah. Oh.
And so we've staffed ourselves up. So now that if we ask them if there's something we can improve on, well, now we have a process where we can focus on it and start making sure that everyone's happy.
Yeah, it's extremely important.
And this person has no commercial background, so they're not selling anything.
Right.
They're not trying to get more involved. There's no intent other than that we're trying to better ourselves.
Yeah, which is coming from the tech industry, tech with oil and gas. That's how business is set up, right? You have your sales side, and then it's like the funnel. So you get your sales funnel until you actually get a contract, and then you have customer success and ongoing business. That's actually where you need to be focused more than on sales, right? Because it's way better to keep a customer and grow a customer and continue to give value than trying to go seek another logo, which is more costly and but
I didn't know that, but that's
I get it. Yeah, and even separating. My past life, we would do that as well. So I was running the sales team. Sure, we would still talk with existing customers, but there were periods where I'd say, no one with sales as an objective are going to certain meetings. So it would be just the customer success. They would go run them. They give us updates, but it's you're trying to solve different things and not have your customer hold things back. You just want true colors. You don't want them thinking like, John, what are you trying to sell me next, man? Right? So yeah, it works well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, I know we're just about up for time here. So I always have an interesting question at the end, which we'll get to. But before we get there, I like to talk about, and I'm really curious too, you can call it like the big, hairy, audacious goal. We came from the MBA. Or like, it's just a term for it, but like, where is Broadbill in 5 years, or is it a 10-year view, or like where's the business going?
It's a tough one. I like we honestly, John, we just want to be the best. So like we don't have a growth mandate.
Okay.
We don't have a volume mandate. There's nothing like next year. We're just going through our budget cycle because we have a still year end in June 30th. But there's no mandate in there where it's you need to have 5 more sites, and we know we don't want to do that either. We don't want to oversaturate the market. We're kind of happy where we are. We'll continue to build and get relationships, but really want to focus on bettering ourselves as a company. And I think for us, just continue to provide that good service. Like the audacious goal is in 10, 15, 20, whenever this wonderful journey ends, is that, any one of us are walking through a hockey game, an event, or plus 15 or whatever, and we're running into people that we've been working with for 15 years that love us, and we're friends with them, and our heads are held high. We never compromise our integrity, and we just, kind of did our thing.
Yeah.
And I think like that is, that would probably be the goal.
I like it.
Because we, everything else will come. Like that's our motto. Like, yes, if we keep to our core values, continue to be who we are, maintain our integrity, everything else will figure itself out. And it's not the easy way. It's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's kind of worked. And, we just got to keep doing that. And for us as leadership, when we talk about it, it's how do we do that? Well, I'm sure shit not going to be here in 15 years. Right. So it's like our goal is leadership fosters great leadership, fosters great leadership.
Yeah.
So if we can focus on ourselves to better ourselves as leaders, well, guess who's going to see that? Well, it's all the early 30s people that are going to see that. And if we can foster them to become great leaders, that when we step aside, whenever that is, we have this pool of amazing leaders that are going to come fill it, say, thank God they're gone. Now we can take it to the level that Chris couldn't even get his cranium around, because they're young and inspire differently and think differently and are wickedly smart. Like you wouldn't work for Broadbill unless you were smart. So we know that.
Yeah.
So we can just continue to develop them. I think that's our focus and goal.
That is a great answer. And as you were talking through it, you finally hit on it. You've done this several times where I'm like, oh, this is what he's talking about. Then boom, you hit it. You do this very, very well. Explanation. And this is what we do. So it really comes down to 2 things, which I heard. Values. What are your core values? Wherever the business goes, as long as we keep looking at those core values, living those, and answering questions of how do we build or move forward with those in mind, we're good. It's going to go how it's going to go. Right. And people, a very high focus on people. And those 2 pillars, there's one gent I always come back to. I've known him for just over a decade now, a local Calgarian, but these days he's doing a lot of trips to Toronto, and that's Iggy Domagalski. So he used to be CEO of Tundra Energy Processing, and now he's CEO of Wajax, doing a great job. And he has always been so focused on value, people, and culture. And just that, I'm just making a correlation here. The way that you think about that and articulate your thoughts are very much similar to him. And I think I agree with it. How you guys are running the businesses and where the focus is. It's just good. It's good business. Sure, it's a good strategy, but it's good. Being human.
It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good, And the thing is that if I didn't have these bills and throughout my career, onesie twosies, I wouldn't have been here.
Yeah.
Right. And so we had opportunity of having great leadership, and that's just not Bill. I mean, I think that's one of the things that everyone's got to do when they're looking at taking this is network, right? Like I've got amazing friends. I got amazing friends who have I mentioned a couple business owners already, but I got a lot, and I am absolutely shameless in engaging them and talking to them and asking them, like, this is my problem.
Yeah.
Showing vulnerability. People actually do want to help.
Totally.
Right. And that doesn't mean it's within the energy space. Actually, some of my best advice I get at the hockey rink with friends I coach with,
Totally,
who are also small business owners.
Yes.
It's like, well, this is what I did. And I'm just like, wow, that's genius.
Yes.
Think I could do that? Yeah, let's go give it a shot. And it's like
so
people
smart.
just always just kind of helping and just being honest being honest with each other. It's great.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing that. And I've been leveraging that way more lately. I've got a group of 8 individuals that I chat with frequently, and a lot of the time I call it John asking stupid questions again. Hey guys, so this is what I'm thinking, but they don't look at it that way at all. It's all in my head.
No.
They're, once in a while they're stupid questions, but generally someone else is learning from it, or they're like, oh man, I never thought about it like that before. You're right. That is a huge risk. Okay. Here's how I would think about it. So it's good. I think sometimes, maybe you don't have this problem, but I think sometimes you believe that everyone is smarter and you're always going to ask for help and they're not getting anything from it. But even your questions deliver value to other people, helping you think those things through. And obviously you want to give back too.
Well, I know I'm not the smartest one, but even like having those people around that, that we've had, keeping an executive team through startup is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And so like when I have issues or they have issues, I don't need to go too far sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes I just need to go out the office and go into theirs and talk through things. And then you do it because it's just a really good feel.
Yeah. Hey, Slav, I got another problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Okay. So we are now over time by 2 minutes, but let's do the last question and then I'll let you be to continue growing your business. So the question I had was a $200 purchase that has given you the most joy.
$200.
You can cheat it by $300. You can go to $300. Inflation, right?
Well, it's a tricky one for me because I just don't like things.
Material
I things. Yeah. Like I don't have something that probably I don't think that way. I got 10 of the exact same colored shirts that I bought $17 a piece. It's not like I'm trying to be like eccentric. I hate shopping. I don't know.
Less decisions
I see
too.
I like. Yeah. I buy 5 of them.
Yeah.
And so like probably wouldn't be able to spend it. But what I do love doing, I love doing it with my family, is like experiences.
Right.
So if I had something burning a hole in my pocket, I'd go get a crappy hotel room in the mountains somewhere and go do some adventuring for a night or catch a band. I don't know if you can go to anything music related for under 200, but no effects.
Not Taylor. I know not Taylor. Taylor Swift. Yeah, no. Yeah. No effects. Yeah, sure.
No, I'm more of a punk rock guy. So No Effects is in Edmonton this summer, so maybe I'd go there.
Probably $50 tickets.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good answer, and I haven't had that one before. Experiences, they're worth a lot more. And I don't think you could get a crappy hotel anywhere in the mountains for maybe you can do $300. Maybe.
Is that a challenge? I can take that for a challenge.
Let's do it.
Probably.
Yeah. Because I'll go book a place right away.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Okay, Chris, anything else you wanted to touch on today that we didn't cover?
Just thank you.
Yeah.
Like pretty awesome, man. I felt pretty privileged that you would even consider me on this. I didn't know if I brought any value or anything, but huge. Like just giving me the opportunity to get out of my comfort zone, challenge myself, and hopefully not screw it up too bad. But man, just awesome what you're doing, and thanks a bunch.
Yeah, pleasure's mine. It's you made it easy. I had fun. I learned stuff on the way too. I know we've known each other for several years, and just very appreciative that you said yes, I will do this. And I know you're a busy guy, so. What's the best way if you're open to it, for people to connect through LinkedIn, email? Don't connect with you. That's the answer.
Probably
to
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Okay.
Probably LinkedIn's good.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'll add your LinkedIn to the show notes. And I guess with that, thank you. And we'll catch up sooner than later.
Good stuff.
All right, man.
Don't let it beat you.
That's right. That's the thing. Do not let it beat you. It's going to be on the headliner for this show. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks.